Hi, fourth graders, and welcome to Reader's Workshop. I am so excited for the ideas that you're going to develop in fourth grade. I know that you had ideas about books before, but this year you're going to build substantial ideas on your stories that you're going to be reading. And they're grounded in the text, not those lightweight things that float away in the breeze. You're going to have really strong ideas. Are your ideas going to be dandelion fluff ideas? No. Our ideas are going to be so sturdy because they are grounded in the text, and we're going to find examples of that. So today, I want to teach you that to grow solid ideas based on a text or a character, readers read intensely, and they're very aware that everything they read counts. They often do things like reread in order to see more, or use all of their brain strategies to pay extra close attention to what's happening. So I want to start by asking you a question. What does a person need to do to read intensely? Take a minute to think about that and jot some ideas down. What does a person need to do to read intensely? So let's think about this. To read intensely in order to grow ideas, the first thing that a reader needs to do is find a book that you want to read. If you're reading a book that you're not interested in, it's going to be really hard to grow these really intense ideas. It has to be a book that you connect with and a book that you want to read. You also need to read as if you're in that book. You are one of those characters, or you're that fly on the wall that's really picturing all this stuff in your head. Also, in order to grow ideas and read intensely, you need to figure out confusing parts. We've all been reading books that are just right for us and have found parts that were like, wait, what just happened? Strong readers who read intensely actually figure out those confusing parts. They'll go back into the text and reread. They'll look for some context clues. They'll find the definition of these words they don't know. It's really important to note that things that you'll talk about later as well. You need to make sure that your notes or your jots are all about the things you're thinking of. So you need to note important things to talk about later. Anything that as you're reading that kind of gets you to pause and think, this seems important. I wonder why. Jot it down. Authors put things into their stories for a reason. So today, we're going to turn back to Tiger Rising that we started to begin reading. And just like in any fourth grade book, the details that Kate DiCamillo has put in the Tiger Rising are there on purpose. But it's our job to read intensely to try to figure out why they're there. So I want you to watch and follow along as I reread the first chapter to Tiger Rising out loud together. I'm only going to read part of it, but as I do, I want you to have a paper, your jots ready, and a pencil, because we're going to think, if I'm reading intensely, what is this making me think of? So follow along as I read. Chapter 1. That morning, after he discovered the tiger, Rob went and stood under the Kentucky Star Motel sign and waited for the school bus just like it was any other day. The Kentucky Star sign was composed of a yellow neon star that rose and fell over a piece of blue neon in the shape of the state of Kentucky. Rob liked the sign. He harbored a dim but abiding notion that it would bring him good luck. Finding the tiger had been luck. He knew that. He'd been out in the woods behind the Kentucky Star Motel, way out in the woods, not really looking for anything, just wandering, hoping that maybe he'd get lost or eaten by a bear and not have to go to school ever again. That's when he saw the old Butte Camp gas station building, all boarded up and tumbling down. Next to it, there was a cage, and inside the cage, unbelievably, there was a tiger. a real life, very large tiger pacing back and forth. He was orange and gold and so bright it was like staring into the sun itself, angry and trapped in a cage. It was early morning, and it looked like it might rain. It had been raining every day for almost 2 weeks. The sky was gray, and the air was thick and still. Fog was hugging the ground. To Rob, it seemed as if the tiger was some magic trick, rising out of the mist. He was so astounded at this discovery, so amazed, that he stood and stared. But only for a minute. He was afraid to look at the tiger for too long, afraid that the tiger would disappear. He stared, and then he turned back and ran into the woods, towards the Kentucky Star. And the whole way home, while his brain doubted what he had seen, his heart beat out the truth to him. Tiger, tiger, tiger. All right, quick, readers, I'm going to stop here for a quick second, and I want you to jot down, what are you noticing so far in chapter 1? Pause the video. This is so important. Get your jots out. What are you noticing so far in chapter 1? When you're ready, press play. Okay, readers, finish up that jot that you're writing down. What are we noticing in chapter 1? There's a lot going on here so far, and we've only read a few paragraphs. But as we read it intensely, I want you to think, well, what did you notice? Some things I jotted down that I was noticing when I was reading intensely was that I noticed that Kate DiCamillo gives a lot of detail about the Kentucky Star sign and what it looks like. I also noticed that the author added a lot of detail to the weather. She wrote, fog was hugging the ground, and it had been raining for almost 2 weeks. This makes me think that Kate DiCamillo is trying to give us a sad mood to her story. Readers, do you see how I didn't just stop at what I was noticing, but I added this extra sentence here? This makes me think that Kate DiCamillo is trying to give us a sad mood for her story. This is what reading intensely does. It gives you ideas about why your author is putting this information in here. This is 4th grade reading, and this is the work that we're going to do today. So today, readers, as you continue in your own books, I want you to practice reading and jotting intensely. When you do this, you're going to use all this information we've been thinking about to grow our ideas. And when you're jotting, I want you to think of these 2 questions. Why did the author want you to slow down and read this part intensely? And what more did you notice about your characters by reading intensely? I can't wait to see your jots. So get started, make sure to log your reading, and grow your ideas. All right, let's get started.